Who among you still remembers entering cheat codes into your favorite games? Take GTA San Andreas for example, where you could get yourself a jetpack with a single command by typing Rocket Man on the keyboard. Even years later, even decades later, people still remember the combinations of letters and words that stuck in their memory to gain an advantage or just for fun. But what happened to them? Where did they all suddenly disappear to? Why don't you find the same combinations of letters that players loved so much in modern games? I asked myself this question and became really interested in figuring out what happened. I conducted an investigation and am ready to reveal the secret behind this question. To do this, I divided the video into several sections, each of which will represent a particular reason why this happened. The first reason. In order to understand why cheat codes disappear, I asked myself why did they appear in the first place? Who left these secrets in the games and why? Players would then read about them with interest in magazines or even write them down on separate pieces of paper so as not to forget. I was among those who wrote them down on pieces of paper. Like the video if you did the same thing. The answer to the question of what they were doing there is very simple. Cheats were originally a tool for developers, not a feature for players. Cheat codes such as IDDQD for invulnerability in Doom or the Konami code, for example, were created for testing and debugging the game. In older games, it was easier to program a simple sequence of buttons to quickly skip a level, give yourself weapons or health, than to replay the entire game each time. This saved them time, but they often didn't dare to remove them, so they turned into Easter eggs for players. This is how the first known cheat code came into being, namely God Mode, which would become the most popular type of code in the future. It appeared in the game Manic Miner, where God Mode was activated by the number combination 6031769. According to the various sources, this was either the phone number of the developer Matthew Smith or his driver's license number, but history is silent on this point. The game was difficult and popular, so many players knew this code by heart. Some games made crazy cheats their trademark, especially the GTA series, where certain combinations can make cars fly, dress the hero in ridiculous costumes, and so on. Developers added these codes just to please and amuse players. They had no practical value for the team, but it became a cool tradition. Nowadays, development tools such as Unreal Engine and Unity allow games to be tested without such crutches. Separate builds for developers, command consoles, hotkeys in the editor. Thanks to all these tools, there is no need to leave cheat codes in the final version, so they're simply cut out. The second reason. But let's imagine if the cheats remained in the final version of the modern game. What would change? Let's take old games as an example, which were essentially quite simple in design. They weren't as complex and well set out as modern AAA titles. What am I talking about? I'm talking about subtle things, such as a large open world with lots of triggers and quests that can easily break due to a seemingly harmless cheat code for no-clip, for example. If games weren't so content-heavy in the past, now such commands can cause bugs, crashes, or even soft lags. Or here's another example. In the past, removing cheat codes from games could cause a number of other errors, so they remained in the game code. In modern games, however, the code is created much more carefully by more experienced programmers and large teams. Therefore, if there was a cheat code in the game, it would most likely be removed from the game before release. The third reason. Here's another great example. Previously, all games were on cartridges and discs and did not require an internet connection. But with the advent of online games, the situation has changed. Previously, you could grant yourself immortality or infinite currency in a game, but with the advent of multiplayer games, this option was removed. While cheating in single-player games is usually not punished, at most resulting in the inability to obtain certain achievements on Steam, in multiplayer games it is combated. After all, cheaters completely discourage honest players from engaging with the product. Thus, a variety of protective programs such as Bug, Punkbuster, and the like have been developed to detect and block violators. Those who decide to use cheats are banned. It is clear that such manipulations with the code break the balance of the game. Such games are not designed for cheats, even in a fun form, so this example can also be added to the list of reasons why we no longer encounter cheat codes. If it's not too much trouble, please support the channel with a like and subscription, it's very important for its development. The fourth reason. And finally, the most interesting part. Cheat codes have evolved. Now, when you want to get a large amount of currency and skins, you can't use a cheat code. You have to go to the microtransactions and battle passes tab. And what's more, it's very profitable for developers. Instead of leaving an Easter egg for players for free, you can sell the solution for money and make a profit. So we've come to the favorite format of all modern game studios, namely the sale of boosters, skins, microtransactions and similar manipulations of players. Why manipulation? Now, the basis of gameplay in most such games is not the desire to give the player new emotions, cool gameplay mechanics, and an interesting immersive story. Now, the emphasis is on stretching gameplay mechanics to such an extent that the player, out of boredom and unwillingness to grind, comes up with the idea of donating to the game and skipping the annoying boring part and going straight to the interesting part. Of course, I'm not talking about all games, but I think you can already think of games that use such dark patterns to pull money out of your wallets. If you used to search for coveted combinations to have fun, now all that remains are pleasant memories of those happy moments. The industry has changed, games have become more complex, online-oriented and monetized. This naturally raises the question, where do cheat codes still exist and, more importantly, in what form? In large projects such as RDR2, for example, they are certainly not in their usual form, but they have been replaced by the well-known trainers. In other large projects you can occasionally find console commands, and I'm only talking about single-player games here. You will no longer find the familiar format of simply tapping on the keyboard or pressing the right combination of symbols on the console. If we are talking about indie projects, things are much more optimistic in this regard. Many developers leave such secrets for players and still pay tribute to the past. Cheat codes can also be found in remakes of old games, which often retain the character combinations that everyone loves. In my opinion, cheat codes used in games are a double-edged sword. On the one hand, they allow players to enjoy new experiences or skip over game moments that are inconvenient for them. The ability to enter a code or tweak the game resources can be indispensable in certain situations, especially when you just want to relax and enjoy the game's storyline without spending a lot of time restarting after death or crawling through levels in search of ammunition. On the other hand, cheats can ruin the developer's original idea. This negative aspect mainly affects multiplayer games, where cheaters spoil the fun of online battles for other players or take the top spots in the leaderboards. This is how cheat codes disappeared from modern games and became a relic of the past. Do you remember the cheat codes from your old games? My favorite is Rocketman from GTA San Andreas. Share your favorites in the comments and let me know if you like this video. Hugs to everyone, and I wish you high FPS in your games.